She told her friends on speaker, "I love him, but he's only 5 feet 10 inches. I need a 6'4" king to match my heels. I'm just settling until someone taller comes along." I replied, "Don't settle." Then I packed her bags and dropped her off at her 6 feet 4 inches X. This trailer park when she texted me begging to come back to my penthouse. I'm 31 years old, and I stand exactly 5'10" in tall. Not short, not tall, just average. Never bothered me until I met Christina. We met at a rooftop bar in downtown about a year ago. I'm a software architect and had just closed a major contract. My buddy threw a celebration and Christina was there with her friends. She's 556, which becomes 510 in heels. She made a point of telling me that within 5 minutes of meeting said we were the same height when she wore her favorite shoes. Thought it was cute. She laughed. I laughed. We exchanged numbers. First few months were great. She moved into my penthouse after 3 months. I owned the place outright. Downtown high-rise, 2 floors, floor-to-ceiling windows. Bought it 2 years ago when my software company took off. She loved it. Loved the view. Loved telling her friends about it. Loved posting pictures with the city skyline behind her. She had a part-time job at a boutique that barely paid anything, maybe 20 hours a week. Never asked her to pay rent. She was my girlfriend staying with me, not a tenant. Her name wasn't on any lease. She didn't contribute to bills, just a guest in my place. But there were comments, little things. She'd see a tall guy at dinner and mention it. "Oh, he must be like 6'3". Must be nice." Or we'd watch a movie, and she'd say the actor was so tall and handsome. Always emphasized the tall part. I figured she just noticed height. Some people notice hair color. She noticed height. Whatever. Month 6, she started wearing heels constantly around the house. To the grocery store. To the gym lobby. 3 in, 4 in, 5 in heels. Said she loved feeling tall. Said it made her feel powerful. I said cool. Wear what makes you happy. But she started making comments about our height difference when she wore them. She'd stand next to me and say, "See, I'm taller than you now." Not in a mean way, just stating facts. But she'd say it a lot. Month 7, I started noticing her Instagram. She'd post pictures of us but crop me out if I was standing. Only posted sitting photos where height didn't show. Or she'd post solo pictures and talk about her amazing life in her amazing apartment. Never mentioned me, just the apartment, the view, the lifestyle. Last month I was working from home. Big project deadline. She was in the living room on the phone with her friends. I had my office door cracked because I was waiting for a delivery. Wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but she was on speakerphone and talking loud. Her friend Ashley asked about me. Asked when we were getting engaged. Christina laughed. Said, "Oh, we're not there yet." Ashley said, "Why not? You've been together almost a year. You live in that incredible penthouse. He treats you amazing. What's the holdup?" That's when Christina said it. "Look, I love him. He's sweet. He's successful. The penthouse is incredible. But he's only 5 feet 10 inches. I need a 6'4" king to match my heels. I'm just settling until someone taller comes along. Once I'm established here and meet someone better, I'll upgrade." Her friends laughed. Someone said, "Girl, you're terrible." Christina said, "I'm being strategic. He's a good placeholder, but I can't see myself with someone that's short long term. I need that height difference. I need to feel small and feminine. Can't do that with someone who's basically my height." I sat there staring at my screen. Placeholder settling upgrade like I was a rental car until she could afford a better model. I pulled out my phone, started recording, got every word of what came next. She was still talking about looking at dating apps. Window shopping for guys in the 6'2" and above range. I got up, walked into the living room. She was still on speaker, still talking about how she was looking at dating apps on the side. Just window shopping, she called it. Seeing what else was out there in the 62 and above range. I picked up her phone, said, "Hey, Ashley. Hey, Morgan. Hey, whoever else is listening. This is the 5410 placeholder. Just wanted you to know Christina won't be settling anymore." Then I hung up. Christina's face went white, started stammering. Said it wasn't what it sounded like, that she was joking, that her friends know she exaggerates. I asked her to say it to my face. "Tell me right now that you weren't serious. That you don't see me as a placeholder until someone taller comes along." She couldn't, just stood there. Finally said, "Look, you don't understand. Women have preferences. Height matters. It's biological." I said, "Okay, then don't settle." Pack your stuff. She said. What? I said, you heard me. You're settling. I don't want anyone settling for me. You want a 64 king? Go find one. This 510 placeholder is done. She started crying. Said she didn't mean it like that. That she loved me. That she was just venting to her friends. I said you were strategizing. Your word. You're using me for my penthouse while you look for someone taller. That's not venting. That's using. I went to my bedroom. Our bedroom. Started pulling her clothes out of the closet. She followed me screaming, saying I was overreacting, that all women talk like this with their friends, that I was being insecure about my height. I kept packing suitcases, bags, everything. Took me about an hour. She went from crying to angry to bargaining. Said she'd delete the dating apps she didn't even have installed yet. Said she'd never mention height again. Said she'd make it up to me. I said nothing, just packed. When I was done, I loaded everything into my car. She was still in the penthouse saying we needed to talk about this. I said, we're done talking, get in the car. She said, where are we going? I said, you'll see. She got in. Probably thought I was driving her to a hotel or her parents' house. We drove for 40 minutes outside the city. She kept asking where we were going. I didn't answer. Just drove. Pulled up to Riverside Trailer Park. She looked around confused. I said, recognize this place? She said, no. I said, really? Because your ex Derek lives here. The 6 feet 4 inches king you dated before me. Remember him? You told me all about him. High school sweethearts dated for 6 years. He was so tall and handsome. You showed me pictures. Her face changed. Said, what are you doing? I said, giving you what you want. You want tall? Derek is 6 feet 4 inches. You guys have history. He's single. I checked his Facebook this afternoon. Seems like a perfect match. I got out. Started unloading her stuff. She sat in the car refusing to move. I knocked on Derek's trailer door. He answered, looked exactly like his pictures, probably 6 feet 4 inches, tank top, beer in hand, confused expression. I said, hey man, you're Derek, right? He said, yeah. I said, I'm returning your ex-girlfriend Christina. She's been staying with me, but she says she needs someone taller. You're 6'4". She's 56. Should be perfect. All her stuff is here. Derek looked past me at my car, saw Christina in the passenger seat. His face broke into this huge smile, said, Christina, no way. Haven't seen you in like 2 years. What's going on? Christina got out of the car. She looked mortified. Said, this is insane. Derek, this isn't what it looks like. I said, sure it is. She told her friends today that she's settling for me because I'm only 510, but she wants someone 6 feet 4 inches. That's you, man. Congratulations. Derek's smile faded a bit. Looked at Christina. Said, you're settling. She scrambled. Said, no, it's complicated. He's twisting things. Derek said, you always were kind of shallow about that stuff. Remember you made me stand next to you in every photo. Always wanted that height difference visible. He was already a few beers in. I could tell nostalgic and drunk, not thinking clearly. Christina saw the opening, started crying, told him she had nowhere to go, that I was being cruel, that she needed help. Derek, being Derek, buzzed, and seeing his ex-girlfriend in distress. Said she could crash for a bit, just until she figured things out. I started moving her suitcases to Derek's porch. He didn't stop me. Just watched. Said, so, you're just dropping her off here? I said, yep, she wants tall. You're tall. You two figure it out. I got back in my car. Christina ran over, banged on my window, said, you can't leave me here. This is crazy. I said, you're right. It is crazy to settle. Now you don't have to. Derek is exactly what you said you wanted. Tall king, trailer park throne. Enjoy. I drove away. She called my phone 16 times before I got back to the city. Didn't answer. Then the text started. First batch was angry, calling me every name possible, saying I was psychotic, that I'd regret this, that she'd tell everyone what I did. I blocked her number. She got her friends to text me. Ashley said I was abusive, that what I did was cruel and insane. I replied with the screenshot I'd recorded of the speakerphone conversation. I'd pulled out my phone and hit record the second I heard placeholder. Sent it to Ashley. Said, here's the full context. Let me know if you still think I'm the crazy one. Ashley didn't respond. 2 hours after I dropped her off, my doorman called. Said Christina was in the lobby, wanted to come up. I said, she doesn't live here anymore. Don't let her up. He said, she's causing a scene. I said, call the police if she doesn't leave. She left. That night Derek posted on Facebook picture of him and Christina. Caption was reunited with this one. Didn't think I'd see her again, but here we are. Christina wasn't tagged. Probably didn't approve the post. It had about 40 likes and a dozen comments asking what happened with her new guy. Day 2. The text came from a new number. I'm sorry. You're right. I was awful. I didn't mean those things. Can we please talk? I replied, nothing to talk about. You were using me as a placeholder. You said it yourself. Go be with your tall king. She said, Derek and I aren't together. I'm staying here temporarily. His trailer is disgusting. There's no space. He works at a warehouse. Please let me come home. I said my penthouse was never your home. It was my home that I let you stay in. And you admitted you were just there until you found someone better. She said I was stupid. I wasn't thinking. I love you. I love the life we had. Please. I said you love the penthouse and the lifestyle. You settled for the guy who came with it. Find another guy. With a penthouse. Preferably one over sick too. Blocked that number too. Day 3. Her mom called. This was interesting because Christina's mom loved me. We'd had dinner several times. She always said I was good for her daughter. Now she was calling to yell at me. Said Christina was devastated that I'd humiliated her, that real men don't abandon women at trailer parks. Christina obviously hadn't told her the full story. I let her finish. Then I said, did Christina tell you what she said about me? The mom said she mentioned you had a fight about something she said to her friends. I said, let me be specific. She told her friends on speakerphone that she's settling for me because I'm only 510 and she's looking for someone 6 feet 4 inches to upgrade to. That I'm a placeholder until someone better comes along. That she's using me for my penthouse while she window shops for taller men. Then her mom said she said that. I said, word for word. I have a recording if you'd like to hear it. More silence. Then she said, I didn't know. That's horrible. I said, yeah. So, when you say real men don't abandon women, maybe think about real women who don't use men as placeholders while hunting for upgrades. Her mom apologized. Said she talked to Christina. I said, don't bother. We're done. She said, Christina really is staying with Derek in that trailer park. I said, I know. Her mom said, it's not good there. He drinks. The place is falling apart. She has nowhere else to go. I said she made her choice. She wanted tall over stability. Now she has it. Her mom said after hearing that recording, her father and I are very disappointed in her. We didn't raise her to use people like that. She asked if I'd consider taking her back if Christina apologized properly. I said no. That ship sailed when she called me a placeholder. Day 5 I was at a work dinner. Saw Christina walk in with Derek. She looked miserable. He looked drunk. They sat across the restaurant, popular place downtown. Just bad luck for her that she picked the same spot. She kept glancing at me. I ignored her, focused on my clients. Closed another major contract that night. My colleague said, you seem happier than usual. I said, got rid of some dead weight recently. Christina and Derek left before we did. On the way out, I saw her waiting by my car. Derek was in his truck in the parking lot. She said, please talk to me, just 5 minutes. I said, no. She said, I made a mistake, a huge mistake. I'm sorry, I've been miserable. Derek isn't who I thought he was. He's changed. Or maybe I changed. I don't know. But I miss you. I miss our life. I said, do you miss my penthouse? She said, I miss you. I said, you told your friends you were settling, that you couldn't see yourself with me long term, that you needed someone taller to feel feminine. Those are your words. She said I was being stupid and shallow. I see that now. Living with Derek in that trailer made me realize what matters. I said, what matters is comfort and money. You didn't realize anything except that you're 6 feet 4 inches king. Is actually just a guy who works at a warehouse and lives in a trailer. You thought you could trade up in height without trading down in lifestyle. Now you know better. She started crying. Said that wasn't fair. I said, you know what's not fair? Being called a placeholder by someone you cared about. Being told you're only good enough until someone better comes along. Finding out the person you let into your home was actively looking to replace you. That's not fair. Derek honked his horn. Christina looked back at him, looked at me. Said I can't go back there, I can't live like that. I made a mistake, please. I got in my car, said then don't settle Derek either. Find someone who wants you, not someone you're using until you find someone. Taller, or richer, or whatever metric you're judging people by. This week I drove off, day 8. She showed up at my building again. This time she convinced a resident she'd forgotten her fob. Told some sob story. Got in that way. Knocked on my penthouse door. I opened it to tell her to leave. She pushed past me. Started walking around like she still lived there. Said, look at this place. Look at what we had. You're really going to throw this away over something I said to my friends? I said, I'm not throwing anything away. You threw it away when you decided I was a placeholder. She said, I didn't mean it. I said, you meant it enough to say it out loud to multiple people while making plans to replace me. She said, I never actually made plans. I said, you admitted to window shopping on dating apps in the 62 and above range. That's making plans. She sat on my couch and my penthouse. Said, I can't stay with Derek anymore. It's been over a week. He's drunk every night. The trailer smells. His friends are terrible. There's no hot water half the time. I can't do it. I said, then leave, she said. And go where? I don't have money saved. My lease was up when I moved in here 9 months ago, never renewed it. My parents won't take me in because they're disappointed in me. They heard the recording. I said, sounds like you need to figure that out. She said, I'm asking you to forgive me to let me stay. I'll be better. I won't mention height ever again. I'll prove I love you for you. I said, no. She said, why not? People make mistakes. I said, people who make mistakes own them. You're not sorry you said it. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry your upgrade plan didn't work out. You're sorry you're living in a trailer instead of a penthouse. That's not the same as being sorry you hurt me. She started crying harder. Said I had nowhere else to go. I said again, not my problem. You made your choices. She said, you're really going to let me be homeless? I said, you're not homeless. You're staying with your 6'4" king, the one you said you needed. She said, I hate you. I said, you hate that your strategy didn't work. There's a difference. I called security, had them escort her out. She screamed the whole way to the elevator. Building manager called me later, said if she shows up again, they'll ban her completely and call the cops. 2 weeks after I dropped her off, Derek posted again. This time it wasn't pretty. Post said, some people never change. Thought we could make it work, but she's still the same shallow person from high school. Good luck to whoever's next. Then he tagged her. She called me from yet another new number. Said Derek kicked me out. I'm in my car. I have nowhere to go, please. I said, stay in a hotel. She said, I can't afford it. I said, get a job. She said, I had a job part-time at a boutique. It doesn't pay enough for rent anywhere. I said, then find a roommate, find a friend, find a solution that doesn't involve me. She said, you're the only person who can help me. I said, I'm the only person with resources you want access to. Different thing. Block that number too. Her friend Ashley called. Actually apologized this time. Said she didn't realize how bad Christina had been. That when she heard the full recording, she was horrified. Said Christina had been calling everyone trying to get money or a place to stay. No one would help her because word got around about what she said. Ashley said, I'm not asking you to take her back, I'm just saying she's in a bad situation. I said, she put herself in that situation. Ashley said, I know, but she's still my friend and I'm worried. I said, then let her crash with you. Ashley said, I would, but I have roommates and they said no, they all know what she did. I said, sounds like natural consequences. Ashley said, you really don't care at all anymore. I said, I care that she showed me exactly who she is. A person who uses people based on what they can provide while actively looking to trade up. That's who she is. She can deal with the consequences of being that person. Month later, I heard through mutual friends that Christina moved 3 hours away. Living with a cousin, working at a restaurant, no more designer clothes or rooftop bars or penthouse views, just regular life. Someone said she'd learned her lesson. I said, good for her. That was about 2 months ago now. Total of 3 months since I dropped her at Derek's. I'm still in my penthouse, still 510, still running my software company. Dating again, but taking it slow. Woman I'm seeing now is 5 feet 8 inches. Never mentions height. Never mentions my apartment. Just enjoys spending time together. It's refreshing. Sometimes I think about that day I overheard Christina on speakerphone. How one moment of honesty from her revealed everything. How she really saw me. How she really saw our relationship. A transaction. A placeholder. A stepping stone. People ask if I feel bad about leaving her at Derek's trailer park. I don't. She wanted tall over everything else. I gave her tall. She wanted to stop settling. I let her stop. She wanted to upgrade. I freed her to try. Not my fault, her 6'4" king didn't come with the kingdom she imagined. She made her preferences clear. Height mattered more than character, more than compatibility, more than actual love. She was willing to use me while hunting for someone who checked a physical box. That's her choice. Living with the consequences of that choice is also hers. I'm not a placeholder, not a rental, not a rest stop on someone's journey to finding someone better. I'm 510, and that's perfectly fine. Anyone who thinks they're settling by being with me can leave. The door is always open. But once you walk through it, don't expect me to let you back in when you realize the grass isn't greener. Just last week, 3 months after I dropped her off, Christina texted from another new number. Said she thinks about our life together every day, that she'd do anything to go back, that she understands now what she lost. I didn't block this number. I just replied with 2 words. Don't settle.